Okay, so this is my project-based learning project, and right here is the textbook. So the first chapter I'm going to talk about is chapter 3, which is imagining the possibilities. So this chapter just basically goes over pretty much there's not really one specific project that a teacher can do for their students. So chapter 3 basically talks about project-based learning. It makes the possibilities of learning endless. It gives the teacher the power to decide what he or she wants to focus on. So with that, the teacher kind of just looks at like the students kind of like their things that they're good at, things they're not so good at, and kind of just put it all together. Imagining the possibilities, this is still also chapter 3. So using the internet in project is something that helps students gain knowledge of in technology. So when a teacher assigns a project and they assign a PowerPoint, it kind of helps the students develop like researching skills as well as typing skills and how to input images and stuff in their projects. And it also kind of gives the child like the ability to be more creative in what they need to do. The textbook also talks about creating a wiki or some kind of discussion board so the child can communicate with their peers and even the teacher as well, and they can even look at what their classmates posted and their work and their projects, and they can give feedback and vice versa. So chapter 4 is strategies for discovery. So this chapter pretty much just talks about like how the teachers pretty much can do their own research or even come up with their own projects to meet students' educational goals, interests, and needs. So in the book, the example that they give is if the class is learning about the weather, students will do a project on how to prepare for a natural disaster. Because if the student is just learning about the weather, like, oh, you know, when the sun's out, like, it's hot, or like if there's clouds, it's cold, it's gonna rain, it kind of doesn't give them the knowledge that they need to put it in like their real life aspects. So this kind of project the teacher will give, and it'll have like everyday like knowledge type of things. So just say like, okay, a child is learning about the weather, so the kind of project that the book describes is that they're going to prepare for a natural disaster. So if we have an earthquake, and like what do you need in order to survive the earthquake? Like you should have a flashlight, food, water, like things of that sort. And you know, if a student knows all that stuff, they would be able to put all of that together and relate it. If that were to happen, they would be able to kind of survive based on their own knowledge because of this. And then the book also talks about pitfalls, which means that like if you know you're teaching and the topic is falling short on the student's educational requirements, it pretty much just means that like the subject is not important as other topics. So an example would pretty much be a project that lacks real world connection. So just say there's a lesson on like dinosaurs. You wouldn't really do a project on that because that doesn't really have any kind of real world connection, because dinosaurs are extinct and a child can't really, like, you can't put together something for a child to survive if it comes in contact with a dinosaur. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So a pitfall would just be a project that just it has nothing to do, it's not even, you don't want to spend your time on it as a teacher, and you don't want to make your students learn about something that's not important to their educational requirements. So chapter 5, making assessments meaningful. So making assessments meaningful, this is the first kind of assessment, which it's to evaluate the student's overall knowledge on a topic, and a very good example would be a test. So after each semester or school year, teachers hand out tests, and that just, you grade the kid on their overall knowledge. The next assessment would be formative, and this is just a variety of methods to help students better understand a lesson. So this would be just it can be fun little activities. So it can be a pop quiz just to see what the students know, what they don't know. Of course, it would be ungraded because you don't want to put that pressure on them because it's not that important. And then you can do hand signals, if you ask your class, what was your knowledge, and they would show you a number 1 to 5, 5 meaning that they fully understand the lesson, and a 1 means they don't understand. And then the whiteboards, you can ask a question and they just write down simple answers, and then of course you can see the kids that don't know, and then you can go over it again. And this is just a compare and contrast. So with the formative, you can see that it's more just activities. So classwork, diagrams, observations, little quizzes, short writings. And then on this side, you can see that it would be a state assessment, the district benchmark, an end of unit chapter test, end of semester or term exams. And then these ones are just the ones that would actually be graded, and they're more serious on the child's educational goals. As for this one, it's just so you as a teacher to know who understands and who doesn't. And then this middle part, it tells you why both of them are beneficial. So they're both very good ways to assess your students. It gives you an idea of who knows what. They both need to be used to evaluate students. So of course you can do the formative, but if you don't do this one, you're not really going to know. Your teaching will be kind of off, so you won't really know. But of course, first you want to do this one in order to help them and go over the material they need to know in order for them to succeed with their test. And then after all of that, it gives you more input in how to teach your classes in the future. And that is all.